Hello and welcome everyone to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Today I have got game 3 of a best of 5. It is firstly it's from the Gigabyte Nvidia Invitational, and it is between aTnDarKFoRcE, who is the blue Zerg in the top right, and MillForGG, who is the red Terran in the lower left. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this should be epic. Now, if you haven't watched Game 1 and 2, then please pause this video and go and watch them on my channel, because otherwise you're missing out on some quality play, basically. So do go and give them a watch, and I'll see you back in a sec. So, Game 1, what did we see there? We saw MillForGG go for an absolutely beautiful one-rack command center play, where he then went into Reactor Hellions and Cloak Banshee and just did so much damage to the economy of DarkFoRcE. He was unable to basically come back, and MillForGG just eventually won. And Game 2, we saw something a bit more interesting. We saw DarkFoRcE go for a 14-14 build, which is gas, then pool, both at 14 supply, and basically went for a Baneling bust. That didn't do enough damage, so he tried again. Didn't do enough damage, and he tried a third time, and he did no damage, and basically MillForGG had enough Hellions and Marines up to defend it easily, and therefore lost. So, Game 3. What are we going to see? I expect DarkFoRcE will go for a 15 hatch this build, just because his early pressure didn't work at all. MillForGG went for a one-rack command center in Game 2 as well, and was able to hold really the pinnacle of pressure. So if that's going to happen, then DarkFoRcE's only option is to try and beat him in the macro game, and that looks exactly like what he's going to try and do here. But we do have from MillForGG a hidden proxy 2-racks, so well, it's not proxy 2-racks, it's basically a 2-racks, but with just one of them hidden. Not any closer, so the Overlords won't scout it. That's, of course, the downside of, say, building the 2-racks here, which I've seen sometimes, or even over here, is basically these Overlords coming across the map will scout them, and DarkFoRcE would be able to react quickly enough to defend it. But this is an alteration by MillForGG, and I personally love it, because Game 1 and 2 he won very comfortably with the 1-racks command center opening. DarkFoRcE is therefore going to assume he'll do the same thing again, but going for this extra pressure super quickly is basically just going to make DarkFoRcE kind of question his head a bit about what's going on. Obviously, it could win the game flat out if it does enough damage. It's unlikely. This SCV coming to build a bunker almost certainly, and this is an interesting place for a bunker. It's working more as a contain as opposed to doing loads of damage. So obviously the Marines can pop out and run over, snipe some stuff off, run back, but it's not really there to try and deal huge amounts of damage, which it would do if it was positioned there, but obviously that would be much more likely to get scouted. And something did spot this. I'm not quite sure what, but here comes over all of those SCVs. Well, the SCVs are forward, building another bunker. This one may actually get cancelled now. We'll wait and see whether it does stay up. Of course, a salvage is the same as a cancel pretty much. We've got the double spine caller coming down by DarkFoRcE, so that's the correct response. But straight away, what MillForGG has done is, with essentially 2 Marines and 3 SCVs, has forced a stupid amount of reaction out of DarkFoRcE. He's flooding an awful lot of Zerglings, not drones. He's spending 200 minerals on getting those spines up, again, not drones, and it's really going to hurt the economy. And behind this, of course, nothing really going on for MillForGG right now. He's just getting these bunkers up. He's got one bunker up already. The second bunker is going to be huge. I'm surprised his back one hasn't been salvaged, but it's going to be a bit of a tough time to try and deal with this. I'm not actually sure if these spines outrange. I don't know, they clearly don't, so basically one spine caller is basically dead already to this bunker. Now come all of the Zerglings, the repair going off, so the Zerglings will have to start killing off the SCVs, but should be able to clean this up. But quite big losses going on here actually. So many Zerglings getting picked off. The Marines are moving around, they're stutter step microing, and very few losses have gone down here yet. And DarkFoRcE is suddenly in a lot of trouble. He's making 16 more Zerglings behind this. You've got MillForGG just happily making SCVs one at a time. It's all good. The spine caller goes down. If the Queen falls, that's going to hurt DarkFoRcE's production, and this is doing huge amounts of damage. The Marines started stepping back towards the safety of that bunker, but of course I think there's just too many Zerglings out right now, especially after that next wave. They should be able to pick off most of the Marines, but they do manage to get in the bunker, and that's just going to make them so much more cost effective, and they're just going to be able to do big damage to an awful lot of Zerglings. And well, if we look at the loss tab, even after all of the Marines apparently haven't died, Marines are stupidly good guys, but the Marines, they're going to pull back, and DarkFoRcE has lost, well, more resources already, but also so many workers. While he is still at 19, ultimately that's compared to 22 on MillForGG, who is now expanding behind this, moving his 2 Getting a third command center as well, great move, so double expanding, that's going to help hugely in catching up in terms of the economy and staying really a long way ahead. And 4GG is already there, and it's a bit of a counter-attack coming in here now by DarkFoRcE, who basically his economy was not where he wanted it to be. I don't think he's missed any injects because he has been rebuilding queens, but this counter-attack isn't going to be too successful because there is basically a barracks down everywhere and a lot of marines behind this barracks wall. There's no way Zerglings alone will get through that. Even it'd take a huge amount of banelings to go through that as well. So 4GG, just his play is beautiful. He did a good amount of damage with those bunkers. He put a lot of stress on DarkFoRcE. He basically threw out DarkFoRcE's with him and is now just safely walled up at home, building lots of barracks and lots of command centers, which is the staple to any good Terran strategy against Zerg. Just build command centers and barracks and have lots of marines and income. But joking aside, it is actually a really, really nice build. This wall off is basically keeping him safe. And of course the factory is starting to tech up the third command center there. Will one work for an extra orbital, getting a lot of mules. The third hatchery coming out for DarkFoRcE is negated quite honestly by this command center, which can float down to take the third base whenever it so chooses. That Zergling is keeping an eye on precisely that though. The only thing missing at the moment for me is any kind of tech. I'd like to see a tech lab thrown down. Again, not easy to throw tech labs down here, or because basically they'll be exposed to Zerglings or anything like that. But here comes down a tech lab on one factory, the other barracks getting a tech lab. Be interesting to see whether there's a switch or whether it's just straight siege tank marine. Lots of different options. Great spread on the marines here. This is something we don't see often enough, especially in the lower leagues, of preparing your army as best it can before the engagement. So by spreading this out, if a push were to come in, there'd be maximum surface area on these marines. If banelings came in, it would take a maximum number of banelings to kill everything, so it's just good control. There's the Infernal Pre-Igniter, commonly known as Blue Flame, on its way, so Blue Flame Hellions are going to be coming out, and 4GG is just happy being harassment heavy. That Overlord has scouted, of course, the third command center, but doesn't know about these Hellions, and that's the big threat. Well, the big imminent threat to DarkFoRcE. Now, he does have the double Evo chamber. That means that the 1-1 melee upgrades are on their way out, but to be honest, I don't see that working too well because, of course, it's still heavily reliant on Zerglings. Blue Flame Hellions decimate Zerglings hideously. It's a massacre. It's not a fair fight. It basically makes every Zerg player run and cry, but basically, the wall off is no longer needed. Effectively, there's so many marines out, everything's fine, so let's build some add-ons. Reactors everywhere, marines ahoy. In the meantime, we've got more factories being added on, so this is a really interesting build, and to be honest, we may actually just see 4GG move out with a lot of marines and a lot of Blue Flame Hellions, in which case DarkFoRcE has to cry unless he has banelings, which luckily are on the way. And the creep spread for DarkFoRcE is actually really nice. Not sure the spread is as good as it could be. He's putting a long way out across the map, but there's this position here, and his third base is always going to be vulnerable. I'd like to see some more creep tumors around this sort of area. Again, pushing out around here already. But we'll wait and see. It's, again, whether this moves across, which it may do, or just straight forward. But here comes over a big ball of marines, not showing those Hellions yet. Blue Flame is, of course, done. How many Hellions are even on the field? We do have 8. 8 Blue Flame Hellions are absolutely catastrophic. The Hellions don't want to reveal themselves too soon, but in they all come. The Queen is there. The Marines on their way over. That will help massively. 18 Banelings getting morphed in. Where are all those Banelings? Here they are, because of course Banelings are the solution to this problem, which is Hellion Marine, because Banelings deal massive damage to both of them if they can connect. But the concern, of course, is Blue Flame Hellions in such high numbers just melt everything. And I mean, in come the Banelings already. They are getting some connections. The Marines haven't been taken out, and now in come all the Zerglings. Banelings from literally every action, but of course without the speed upgrade, those Hellions can actually fight Banelings quite effectively, as we're seeing here. And huge losses being taken by DarkFoRcE. He's lost over double the amount of resources compared to 4GG. More Banelings coming forward. The Marines just in a very defensive position, and the Hellions being utilised very, very effectively, poking forward, pulling back into the Marine lines, where the Banelings are just picked up very, very simply. I mean, 4GG is engaging so cost effectively. He's getting Thors behind this as well, which is just beautiful. And also a bit of a switch up compared to standard siege tanks. So it's more of a mech army behind this. And, well, I mean, the Queens, they are there, and I think 4GG will be forced to go back now. He's lost quite a lot of stuff. Did he manage to kill many workers? No. But he did deal an awful lot of damage in terms of resources. So that's great. He forced a lot of units to be built, and of course, well, DarkFoRcE is at 75, so he can afford to build an awful lot of units. But for the moment, we've got medevacs coming in. We've got more Hellions, Blue Flame Hellions there. So this is, and the third base was taken behind all of this in the action, which was just so intense. The first Thor on its way out now. The Thor will be helpful at soaking up the Baneling hits, essentially. That is the primary focus of it. Thors are actually best counteracted by lots of roaches. So are the Hellions. So ideally, Bane Roach is the pretty much a perfect combination to deal with this sort of army. But this is a good surround at the moment. The Baneling hits are going to go down. DarkFoRcE actually getting a good engagement there, dealing quite a bit of damage. That caught him up slightly in terms of the resources lost percentage-wise, but overall net loss is worse for DarkFoRcE right now. But the Queens, they're great here. The Queens soak up an awful lot of damage. The transfuses will be helpful. More Marines are wandering their way across, along with the single Thor. 2 Thors being produced at a time right now. So basically the Thor numbers are going to start getting up higher, but it's constant harassment out of 4GG, and of course DarkFoRcE is on equal basis with the Terran, and that is not where you want to be. The work count is ahead, but I mean, when we factor in mules, actually DarkFoRcE is a lot ahead of in terms of mule income. That is quite surprising. Mules are good, but not that good apparently. So basically, we've got 4GG pulling back. He used a scan effectively to pick off an awful lot of creep tumors. He does not want that creep moving across because mech armies are hideously slow. Thors aren't quick units, so he needs to basically get the element of surprise by moving slowly. And DarkFoRcE right now, he's got the 2-2 upgrades coming in, as well as the pathogen glands and the infestors soon to pop. That will be great. These rocks getting taken out because DarkFoRcE does not want to be engaging in chokes. But now the Hellions coming in from behind. A lot of this army out of position. We've got creep tumors getting picked up, we've got queens getting picked up, but those zerglings are going to get nice around, but the banelings aren't there for the support, and basically now those Hellions need to spread as best they can, and do pick up huge amounts of banelings right now. That is absolutely beautiful, but I mean, in terms of the loss tab, still, this is not fun. 4,000 more resources lost for DarkFoRcE compared to 4GG, and of course, 4GG hasn't really lost that much. I mean, he's lost an awful lot of units, but obviously apparently very, very cheap units in terms of resources. That's compared to the fact that his economy is still going crazy. He's only 10 workers behind, which should, in theory, put him ahead in terms of the worker count, but it's because his mules are going down instead. Those scans have great chain fungal on all those medevacs there. That is Terran newbie mistake 101, but they all survive because there's just so many. The Thor's getting focused down by the Zerglings, which is absolutely great. The Thor getting lifted. Beautiful, beautiful play. And now we should see some infested Terrans down. Just one fungal growth would be huge, but all of the energy went on infested Terrans. That is sad, sad times there, basically. And DarkFoRcE is managing to hold his own at the moment, but this is just an endless stream of stuff. Now, I'd love to see all of this army pull back and a load of SCVs come and repair. If you've gone for a mech build as Terran, make sure you repair all of your units without fail, because it's basically healing. It's the best way to look at it, and if your units have full life, their cost-effective nature becomes so much better, because obviously they can kill more stuff before they die. Now, looking upgrade-wise, we've got no Hive yet. Hive is about to finish, so we should then see the 3-3 upgrade started, and in line with that, either Broodlords or Ultras. There's 2 chains of Thor. We do have the +3 melee attack already coming out. I'd love to see the adrenal glands upgrade, because I think that will be absolutely critical to the success of DarkFoRcE if he wants to win this game. He needs basically that adrenal gland upgrade, because Zerglings are going to be so effective against the Thors, and of course the Banelings are going to be very, very critical. But there goes the adrenal glands. Good boy, DarkFoRcE. That is exactly what I like to see. And now we've just got this big army, and basically the concern with a mech type build is if you're allowed to get to 200 of 200, because in all honesty it's then pretty much unstoppable. There's just so much stuff. I mean, sort of an insane Broodlord Infestor army, you're going to struggle. But here we go, the Zerglings are running in, the Banelings are going to try and connect as well, but most of the Banelings trying to run through and engage as best they can, but lots detonate on the Thors there. And it does look like DarkFoRcE is going to clean this up, but he's made the classic mistake. He got an awful lot of infestors, and now has very little in order just to deal with the remaining army. So that will hopefully allow 4GG to get away. More of these Hellions are on their way in, and now the infestors is going to get picked off one at a time, because Infestors need support, and just look at this reinforcing group here by 4GG, and he's also got another group coming in. I mean, his production's crazy, 3 factories, a starport, 3, 4, 5 racks at least, and now got a 4th command center coming down as well. Taking a look here, the 4th base for DarkFoRcE is looking to be in a lot of trouble. He's just flooding Zerglings, trying to hold as long as he can. But I mean, upgrade-wise, it's 2-2 against 2-2. It's all fairly equal. I mean, we do have Banelings coming down, and these Thors are finally going to fall. So this push has been negated for the moment. Those infested Terrans should get a medevac kill, or not. They may just get away through pure luck, but just look at the number of Marines. That is crazy. The Marines moving forward, getting healed up. The 4th base for DarkFoRcE is going to go down. And once this base falls, I don't see what DarkFoRcE is going to be able to do. He's got the Ultra Cavern on its way. He's just flooding with Zerglings, but the Zerglings will not engage cost effectively against these Marines, which are 2-0. And especially when they're engaging in a position like this. But the Fong Growth will help massively. But just look at the resources lost. That's still 4,000 minerals. They have been engaging pretty level pegging for the meantime, but of course the income for GG is basically higher. He's got more workers, he's also got mules, and Planetary Fortress coming at the 4th, so that's not going to get taken down very easily at all. We do have more Thors on their way in, more Hellions, the Marine spread is beautiful, and now all of these Banelings going off on a lot of Thors. That is not how you want to spend Banelings, because they do not damage Thors well enough at all. And now the 4th base for DarkFoRcE is down. That puts him a base down on the Terran player. That is possibly the worst situation you can be in. Reinforcements are still coming, but it looks like 4GG are going to pull back just for the moment. We do have just 2 Zerglings coming in. They'll get shut down by the Planetary Fortress though. No problem at all, but this many Zerglings won't get shut down by a Planetary Fortress quickly. A new 4th base being trying to go down here for DarkFoRcE. He does have his Ultra Cavern finished. He doesn't have the Ultra Armor upgrade yet, and no sign of any Ultras in production. The Infestor count is really high already. The additional 4 is going to make it a bit silly in my opinion. Infestors are good, but in about the kind of 5 to 8 number. Anything over that, you're starting to sacrifice the rest of your army, to be honest. And you need that rest of your army, because you can't just chain fungal everything. You need to have something to come in and clean up. And unless that's quite sizable against a force like this, you're going to have problems. And I mean, 4GG, he's ahead by about 50 supply, and that is just going to be nasty, nasty times if 4GG is able to deal a lot of damage. I mean, he's got these Thors out everywhere. Yes, Immune is going down, but a great lift there, saving the Thor very, very well. And the medevac gets away with 5 HP. I mean, there's been some very lucky medevacs in this engagement. Fung Growth has been spent absolutely everywhere, which is not effective use of the energy, to be honest. But there's nothing else DarkFoRcE can do, because this force is getting very, very sizable. The income is crazy, 61 to 53, so if we look at that here, it's absolutely huge. Infested Terrans have been lobbed down, Banelings detonating on the Thors. The Infested Terrans are getting cleaned up very, very simply, and now this is the exact situation I was talking about. DarkFoRcE has got 11 Infestors, and he's getting 9 more. But he's not killing anything, basically, because he's got no energy on the Infestors, and Infestors don't have a base attack. So that means the 4th base for DarkFoRcE is going to go down, and I think that's pretty much going to be GG now, because even those 10 Zerglings can be dealt with by the Thors alone, and now the Marines are coming in. There is a game from DarkFoRcE, and that of course means that 4GG takes this best of 5, 3-0. So guys, if you did enjoy this series, please give the videos thumbs up or likes or whatever. Leave a cool comment, that would be absolutely brilliant. I'd love a nice comment about the games, my cast, or the players. Follow me on Twitter, send me a tweet, that'd be sweet, and of course subscribe. I get new top level games up every single day of the week, so a nice little subscribe would be very good for the support, and also great for you watching cool games. But most importantly, I hope you did enjoy, and tune in again. Bye for now.